Charli XCX, Crash, Atlantic Verdict, Thoroughly Modern Pop Rating, Keith Richards, Main Offender, BMG Verdict, Sparklers from the Sob Vaults Rating, Little Boots, Tomorrow's Yesterdays, On Repeat Verdict, Nostalgic Electro Dance Rating. Charli XCX was quick off the mark when lockdown arrived in 2020. Unable to tour, she poured all her pent-up energy into making How I'm Feeling Now. Created in just 5 weeks as the Cambridge-born singer was isolating with her American boyfriend, it was the first album written and recorded entirely in quarantine. 2 years later, it remains one of the artistic triumphs of the pandemic period. Homemade, and consequently rough around the edges, it stands as a date-stamped account of a moment in time, detailing the conflicting emotions of a fun-loving 20-something who missed going out with her friends but was also nervous about the future. Her new album is cut from a different cloth. Crash places the singer, real name Charlotte XCX, in a pop landscape that is now opening up again. There are duets with Caroline Polachek, Eloise Letizier, and Rina Sawayama, and tie-ins with celebrated producers including DJ Nick Gale, aka Digital Farm Animals. XCX, 29, has previously walked a fine line between bubblegum pop and less mainstream fare. On Crash, it's her poppy, accessible side that wins out. Recent single New Shapes sets the tone. On Taylor Swift's Reputation tour in 2018, Charli and Camila Cabello joined Swift on stage to create a futuristic female trio. They sang Shake It Off brilliantly. On New Shapes, Charli herself is at the center of something similar as she drafts in her demonically talented pals Letizier, of Christine and the Queens, and Polachek to form a formidable new girl band. Elsewhere, she admits a weakness for bad boys on the Eurodisco romp Good Ones. I always let the good ones go, before informing a prospective suitor that he could have a bad girl by your side. It all ends in heartache on the bruised electronic ballad Every Rule. In calling this album Crash, she seems to be referring to her fragile emotional state. In combining contemporary, digital production tricks with nods to the dance music of the past, the singer manages to sound both cutting-edge and familiar. The Aching Beg for You, made with Japanese star Sawayama, is a rave anthem that wouldn't have sounded out of place on a Faithless album. Used to Know Me samples the 1990 classic Show Me Love, originally by Robin S. When she began writing these songs, in the aftermath of her self-titled third album in 2019, Charli envisaged Crash as her Janet album, a reference to Janet Jackson's 1986 masterpiece Control. Sidetracked by her quarantine exploits, she has moved in a different direction, although there are still plenty of 1980s references. With lockdown fading and a world tour on the horizon, she is ready to seize her big pop moment. The Rolling Stones this week announced a tour, their first since the death of Charlie Watts, that will include 2 shows in Hyde Park and their first in Liverpool in 50 years. But while Keith Richards will take his customary place alongside Mick Jagger and Ronnie Wood, the guitarist has other things on his mind, too. The tour news coincides with a 30th anniversary reissue of his 1992 album Main Offender, part of an ongoing trawl through his solo archives. With Keith and Mick often at loggerheads over the music the Stones should have been making in the 1980s and 1990s, Richards made 2 accomplished solo LPs, has since added a third, and toured with his other band, the Expensive Winos. The latest reissue, which follows the repackaging of his first solo LP, Talk Is Cheap, plus a 1988 live album, is a timely reminder of his mastery of bluesy rock and roll riffs. There is an undeniable familiarity to the jumpin' jack flash-like rhythm of 999, plus some heartfelt, if not entirely successful, detours into reggae and croaky-voiced soul. There is also the bonus of another, this time previously unreleased, live album, recorded with the expensive Winos in London on his 49th birthday in 1992. "The best birthday I've ever had," he quips. As well as excerpts from Talk Is Cheap and Main Offender, the gig features solo renditions of three Stones classics. Fronting a band anchored by Stones touring drummer Steve Jordan, Keith sings Gimme Shelter, minus the menace of Mick, with vocal partner Sarah Dash, before upping the tempo on Before They Make Me Run and The Exile on Main Street. Rocker happy. "I'm going to leave you as I found you. Hopefully happy," he says. It whets the appetite for the return of the Stones this summer. Blackpool musician Victoria Hesketh, aka Little Boots, seemed set for a glittering career when she emerged at the same time as fellow electro diva Lady Gaga. She topped the BBC's Sound of 2009 poll, her triumph sandwiched between those of Adele and Ellie Goulding. But her successes since then have been relatively modest. We're about to hear more of her. On keyboards and backing vocals, she is part of the 10-piece band appearing at the ABBA Voyage shows in London in May. And her new solo album, Tomorrow's Yesterdays, signals a welcome return to the homespun, DIY disco with which she first made her name. Beneath the gliding beats, it's a melancholy affair, its lyrics touching on isolation and regret. Crying on the Inside laments lost love, and Landline finds her harking back to the era before mobile phones. There's a disco in the kitchen, a party in the hall, she sings on Back to Mine. The title track is The Pick, a big piano ballad with a Beatles-like chord sequence. Now, on to ABBA. All albums out today. Charli XCX starts a tour on May 15, Ticketmaster. Co.uk. The Stones tour starts in June, Rolling Stones. Com.